This is Wallace Ryland with RCR Wireless News. I'm here with Sean Gallagher of Valmont, the guys that make all those big towers you see out there. Sean, why are you guys here this year? I mean, I know you guys do towers, but I'm seeing a lot of different things, a lot more than just steel, big steel.
Yeah, we certainly want to keep pushing things like reanalysis of towers with all of the mods going on and the new LTE upgrades. That's creating a lot of demand for analysis of the towers to see what do they need, can they hold up to these new loads. So that's something we really want to promote. And then certainly DAS is a big thing, and we're really big in the lighting side of the business, and so we want to bring our expertise in street lighting into the DAS world because we think we're really got a unique spot there that we can leverage.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. We've been talking with a lot of people here, like when DAS comes, it's going to be how do we hide it? It's not retrofitting and putting a fake tree on top. It's going to be how do I have something when I'm not seen? And I'm thinking street lights, I'm thinking traffic lights, etc. How does that impact the tower industry? Because when you go from towers to this, but there's still steel in there. There's still infrastructure.
I mean, for us, it's still steel, it's still engineering, it's still manufacturing. So we'd be doing the same things. I think for the tower guys, it's a more difficult question maybe because you've got a single tenant often on a traffic pole. So how does that play into American Towers or SBA's or Crown Castle's business model? That's something I think they're wrestling with, and we can see they're all coming up with different strategies for how to approach that right now.
Well, you know, and when you're having all these build-outs with deadlines, we were talking about Latin America a little while ago, saying, well, you got the World Cup and the Olympics. A lot of towers have to be built there. You know, I think more in the United States, you've got some towers that are 25, 30 years old. You know, is there going to be a lot of replacement coming, or are they still going to hold strong? I mean, I know that you have your analysis side for that, but what are you finding?
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a replacement market. It's starting to come in now. There's a huge RFP out right now. The U.S. Forest Service, they're going to be replacing 1,400 towers just for that purpose because it's a very, very old inventory of structures. And so they're taking down every guide tower they have, replacing them with self-supporters. So that's starting now to come in. Fortunately or unfortunately, these things last a very long time. So for us, you know, we're not counting on the replacement market. I think it will be there, but I so far not building that into my sales plan yet. I'll keep that to myself so the management doesn't add that for me.
Are you looking at developing a lot of new products around us? And we kind of talk about the light poles and everything like that. Is it because it's kind of a fabrication angle? It's a little bit of art and science and commodity all at once, steel and everything.
It is, and that's one place where we really think that we've got a very good position to build off of. We are, in addition to being, you know, one of the leading tower manufacturers, we are unequivocally the largest provider of street lighting and traffic lighting or traffic poles in the United States. And so we have really extensive knowledge of all the city codes and what the city of Birmingham wants for their design versus Atlanta versus New York City. And so we understand how and what these poles need to be designed for. We know the AASHTO code. So it's marrying these two worlds, the wireless and the street lighting or transportation worlds, and we think we've got sort of a unique set of engineers and manufacturing capability to do that. It is not a volume business, but we expect that to really continue to grow.
I mean, it's a niche business, but it's going to be a niche that it's hard to fabricate. And you know, I guess the other question I have is, as you see things growing, how do you guys fit in the infrastructure of a DAS rollout? Let's say I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you have the city of Charlotte wants to have. They want to have a DAS implementation for the city of Charlotte. You have the towers. Do you work directly with the carriers? Do you work with the construction groups? How do you get in the middle of that so that you're, because I mean you're the tower guys, so you got to fit in that ecosystem somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, and that's I think part of the rub is when and how, where do you get started in that project cycle? Often it's only after specs have been issued, and so that makes it more difficult because then you're trying to manufacture something that an architect might have come up with, but what's the manufacturability of it? Is it something that you can build? And certainly we can build, I would say, nearly anything, but does or can the customer afford what this structure is now going to cost. And so what we hope to do is to get out to that customer base a lot of the information about what we already can do, and so they can pick from really an existing catalog of structured designs and shapes to build around those, so that we're taking advantage of pre-existing structures, pre-approved design shapes by these local entities. So we have an obligation and a need to get involved sooner. Yeah. It'll make our work easier, and we think actually it'll make a more competitive, more easily delivered product to the end user as well.
No, I think you're right on. I think it's absolutely because the real issue is I think you guys have to get into this early, because we're all sitting there saying, where's DAS coming? Who's paying for it? How's it coming? And it's going to start at the municipality. And what could gum up the works, I think, is you're going to sit there and you're going to have the city of Charlotte doing one thing, New York doing another, and there's not going to be any scalability. But if you guys can get in there at the design and the early stage, so that you're prescribing, new core steel, you're prescribing a Valmont type of, implementation, I think that's going to make it smoother.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's going to be it'd be hard on us and harder on whether it's, AT&T or Crown Castle, whoever that customer is. If we're trying to come up with 4 poles for this city and 22 for that city, it's very difficult to realize the amount of work that you got to put in for 4. We'd like to do 400, right? And so it's that scalability and just the standardization. If you can drive that at all, I think it will help everybody with speed, costs, quality, so that you can move to people like Valmont. It doesn't have to be always us. We want it to be, but I think right now these guys are looking to sort of local job shops to put together their products, because they come to me and they've got 4 custom 30-foot poles, and that's an awful lot of work for not that much revenue, really. Sure. Now, these are good customers, so we take care of them, but we'd like to change the model some, that's for sure.
Well, fantastic. Sean, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks. Appreciate it.
No problem.